can dodge bullets, baby.
This is beyond fairy tale. It's inconceivable.
There it is! Doyle's done it!
Eastgate steps into poker history.
This is the greatest sport in the world!
The field is shrinking. The tension is rising. Every decision matters. Every card counts. Because every elimination brings us closer to the money.
Show me the money!
For most, that is the singular focus. But for top pros like Phil Ivey, the bubble is something to take advantage of.
The money's nice. The money is great. But winning is definitely more important at this stage.
It's a quest for cash.
Yes, baby! Yeah.
With an eye on the ultimate prize.
Oh, yeah!
The madness has returned.
Get ready.
Yeah, baby!
Hold on tight.
Oh!
The race for the money is on. Welcome to the 40th Annual World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. I'm Lon McCarran with Norman Chad. It's day 4 and the money's on everyone's mind.
We're here to have some fun and we might even get paid.
6,494 began, now just 789 remain in the main event. And of those, only 648 will make the money. And as this field shrinks, plenty of top pros remain in the hunt.
What's up, kid? How you doing?
Day 1 chip leader Troy Weber, Day 2 chip leader Amir Lehavat, now with everyone else, trail current chip leader Bertrand Elke Grossbellier. But Elke and the rest will have to contend with an impressive array of 6 remaining former champions.
I came to play, baby.
Hellmuth, Harrington, Ferguson, and Baldwin are all out in the field.
My life is complete.
While Joseph Hashem and the defending champion Peter Eastgate reside at table 2. But as intimidating as the former champions are, the most feared player in all of poker is seated at our featured table, Phil Ivey.
He was put onto this planet to play poker better than anyone ever has or ever will. Mission almost accomplished.
I'm trying to make that UFC fight.
You made plans for tonight?
I bought the tickets and I never think I'll make it this far.
Maybe that's why you've gone out early the last 3 years.
We'll keep giving you chips.
Come on, Phil, you're my man. Get your head in the game.
Action underway here at the Rio. The blinds are now at 2 and 4,000 with a 500 chip ante. Action folds over to 7-time bracelet winner Phil Ivey. And on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky pocket cam, Phil looks down at ace-10 of hearts.
When you're playing with Ivey, it reminds me of a line from The Princess Bride. Never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
From the button, Ivey raised it to 11,000. The small blind folded. Now the big blind, Bernard Perner with Queen 9 off.
Oh, that's going to help. Switch from regular glasses to shades. Phil's impressed.
The 36-year-old pro player from Salzburg, Austria, is in his first tournament outside of Austria, and he's going to call for 7,000 more. Heads up, Ivey and Perner, the flop. 10, Jack, Ace. Ivey hits aces up. Perner with an up and down straight draw.
Never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line, my friend.
Perner on his draw at 16,005. Ivey makes the call.
Phil seems a bit bored, knows he's ahead.
Aces and 10s for Ivey. A tray on the turn. Ivey is still good. No help to Perner there. Perner first to act. And wow, is he going to turn his hand into a semi-bluff? 27,500.
Well, Perner the only one on the table with more chips than Ivey, and Phil might come over the top here.
Just a call for Phil with aces up.
Not sure if Phil's letting Perner hang himself or is being cautious just in case Perner flopped a straight or a set.
River card is a 9 that pairs Perner, but Ivey has the check mark. 3 diamonds on board.
Ivey just waiting to put the finishing touches on his first victim of the day.
Perner slows down and checks. Ivey now putting together some chips, and he's going to make it 50,000.
I wonder if Perner will switch back to his regular glasses before folding.
Well, Perner's going to give it some thought. A busted draw, just a pair of 9s into the muck.
I told you, my friend, never go against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
As if trying to make the money is not enough stress for the remaining players, they see Phil Ivey picking up on day 4 right where he left off, growing his formidable chip stack. Norman, the ultimate prize in poker is still the ultimate goal for the remaining players, but during the race for the money at the main event, an interesting dynamic unfolds. It involves patience, it requires strategy, and it revolves around one thing: cash.
It's tough to finish in the money. This year, on my 12th try, I finally cashed at a World Series event. My advice to those still out there: see the green, be the green. To cash, it takes skill, luck, and in my case, crawling across the bubble with a couple of chips and a prayer. Boy, it felt good. I am no longer the best player never to cash at the World Series.
And you are just 34 cashes behind the world's best player. Ivey in good shape to make the money, sitting on more than 400,000 chips. Here's a look at the day 4 chip counts of some notable players. Ivey and Hellmuth working towards $500,000 with 770 players left. Taking a look at the top 5, 2 Frenchmen atop the leaderboard. Elke way out in front with almost $1.4 million, and it looks as though he just brought us one closer to the money and extends his chip lead now over $1.5 million.
Elke cashed in last year's main event in 370th place. He has made one World Series final table. I don't believe he is a natural blonde.
Elke's had a great main event so far to another player who's had a great World Series, but Greg Mueller is one card from going home. His pocket sixes trail the pocket aces of Jeff Norman. The river card is another 7, and Mueller will have to be happy with 2 bracelets this year.
Thank you.
A terrific World Series for Mueller, but the main event never kind to him. He still hasn't cashed in the big one.
A much-deserved pat on the back for Greg Mueller as he makes his exit. Another 09 bracelet winner could be joining Mueller on the rail. J.C. Tran is all in, but his pocket queens are ahead of the pocket 10s of Lou Diamond Phillips after the flop.
How do you find queens?
Turn card is a Trey. Tran's still good.
Tran looking to dodge a 10 to stick around.
The river card now is a 9, and Tran will win the hand to double up.
I saw a lot of spots there, brother.
Hey, come on, guys.
What is that?
J.C. Tran still about 60,000 chips below chip average.
I feel like an ambassador. I'm just spreading love around the globe.
Really? I thought that was my job, Lon.
From the ambassador of love to the ambassador from the valley of unhappiness. Phil Hellmuth in a hand against Kenny Shung after the river. Hellmuth had checked. Action is now on Shung. Shung, that's 75,000.
Okay, I fold.
Phil had rags.
Yeah, busted straight draw.
I had a 9 and a 6.
Yeah, rags.
I think I'm gonna get you today with like a 9 and 6. You got a set.
Yeah, remember what a set looks like, Phil?
I'm gonna bluff, and then when the big pot comes, I'm gonna show the nuts.
That sounds like an off-Broadway show.
That's what I do.
That's what he does.
Hellmuth, one of 6 former champions, still alive in this main event. Over at table 2 are 2 of them. Joseph Hashem, the 05 champion, is joined by Peter Eastgate, the defending champ, looking to win in back-to-back years. And they are joined by 2-time bracelet winner Bert Boutin, Solid Pro Surinder Sunar, and World Series veteran Bob Feduniak. Action folds around to Peter Eastgate.
Eastgate says he's a 200-to-1 shot to ever win the main event again.
Ace 10 of clubs.
I dare you to raise my big blind. I dare you. You.
I follow.
Oh my God.
Eastgate does raise Hashem's big blind.
You guys act like you won the main event before or something.
Action folds to the big blind.
You are so sick.
Hashem with 8-6. Oh, he's going to come along.
Clash of the Titans. Wow.
I think Joe is flirting with Peter Eastgate, and yes, I am jealous.
All right, these 2 champs heads up to the flop. 5, 7, 10, all diamonds. Eastgate's pair of 10s is the best hand, but Hashem's flush and straight draws are the favorite.
See one more?
Friendly poker.
Turn card, another 5. Eastgate now the favorite with his 10s and 5s. Hashem makes it 18,000.
Hashem hopes that bet ends matters.
Eastgate's not going anywhere.
Yeah, you can't shake these young whippersnappers that easy, Joe.
River card now is a 9, and Hashem hits the straight to the 10, earns the check mark.
Perfect card for Hashem. Eastgate can't put him on an 8-6.
25.
Bet 25.
25,000 from Joe Hashem. Eastgate, we've seen, is very curious. Will make the call.
Straight.
Now the straight will beat the 2 pair.
It's good.
Eastgate's thinking, boy, world champions get lucky.
Dare you to raise my big blind. Ace 10. In the muck, Ace 10.
8-6. In the muck.
It was my big blind.
Hashem with the last word on Eastgate. That's not too tough, but more importantly, Joe wants every last chip.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Sign up for the official WSOP e-newsletter at WSOP.com and FullTiltPoker.net. Learn, chat, and play with the pros.
Yes!
The action has been fast and furious.
This is crazy.
The knockouts are piling up.
I hope I can bust 2 people.
Some familiar faces have fallen. But for those who remain, the pressure is just beginning.
So much drama, so much intrigue.
Donations are much appreciated.
We're getting closer to the money. Back at the Rio, we're 90 players away from the money, and we may be getting even closer to the money right now.
I gotta get lucky one time.
Denise Malloy, a grandmother of 3, begging to keep her dreams of a payday alive. She's a long shot, though. Her pocket 10s behind the pocket aces of John Monette pre-flop. And the flop?
Oh, wow. I need another 10.
Indeed, a set for both.
Give her a 10, he won't mind.
10.
Turn is a tray.
10, one time 10.
Give her the last 10.
10 of clubs.
River card. 10 of clubs! She won the hand.
This is why the main event is a joy, Lon.
Oh my God. I had 1 out. 1 out.
Monette's thinking, yeah, 1 stinking out.
I'm gonna hug somebody.
I once hugged somebody after hitting quads. That led to my first divorce.
My husband is in here.
That's how it starts.
Elsewhere, Brian Shapiro moved all in with pocket aces pre-flop. He was called, but now trails Kevin Saul, who flopped a set of kings.
A couple of 29-year-olds tangling.
Turn card now is a jack. Shapiro with some hope.
Yeah, Shapiro now can make a straight, so an ace or a queen keeps him alive.
River card now. Oh, is the queen!
Yes!
That's Broadway for Shapiro.
Still in this tournament.
Yeah.
Do that one more time for me, please, sir. Yeah, you deserve that. You deserve that because of your hairdo.
That is a suspect hairdo, but Shapiro's out of line.
Oh, baby, I'm still in this tournament.
Saul did not appreciate the post-river trash talk.
Completely out of line.
Borderline excessive.
Well, tournament director Jack Effel has shown up.
Pretty sure he was insulting you.
I apologize.
Pretty sure he was insulting you.
He was insulting you?
Yeah. He said, I deserve it because of my haircut.
Okay, I apologize. I will not say anything like that again, I promise.
Apology
I
is not
apologize.
appropriate.
Okay.
Was that said?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was said, it was innocuous, let's move on.
So, we'll give you a 1-hand penalty next hand. You're going to sit out the next hand.
1-hand penalty?
Uh-oh, I make fun of people all the time. Do I have to take a 1-hand penalty?
Yes, you do. So Norman will sit out this hand. At table 2, Joe Hashem cannot watch as he now tries to get us 1 closer to the money. Bob Feduniak all in with pocket jacks, way behind Hashem's pocket queens.
Oh, my God. Oh, you.
Burputan having a little fun with Joe, but Feduniak can barely crack a smile. The river is a blank. Hashem wins with his pocket queens. Bob Feduniak eliminated.
I'm like a little girl with the heart of a pea.
Good thing I took that hand off, Lon. I might have made a comment about dead money or something.
Wouldn't want that to happen. Back at our featured table, there's the main event bracelet, just about the only poker accolade that has eluded Phil Ivey.
He's been my pick to win the main event for the last 7 years. He's looking good. I don't think he ever sweats.
Phil looks down at 8-7 off on the button, and another raise to 11,000.
Ivey raising from the button. The worst position in the Rio right now, Lon, is anyone in the blinds or anyone at Phil Hellmuth's table?
Bernard Perner with pocket deuces. He lost about 55,000 chips to Phil on the first hand. Looks like he's going to try to get him back right now.
But he's saving time. His sunglasses are already on.
Heads up to the flop. It is 7, Jack, 7. Ivey out flops Perner again, trip 7s. Perner, first to whack, left with his pocket deuces. That's 22,000.
Ivey's not the best player, Lon, because he gets cards. He wins when he's got nothing, and when he flops the goods, he knows how to maximize his earnings.
Phil with a flat call there. Turn card is at 8. Ivey with a check mark. He now has a full boat.
Boy, this just isn't fair.
Perner now checks.
I don't think Phil sweats.
Phil will try to make Perner sweat and makes it 40,000 to stay in the hand.
I thought Ivey might have checked and let Perner maybe take a stab at the pot on the river, but he correctly determined he'd get a call from Perner right there.
Perner with the check call. River card is a 7. Quads, are you kidding me?
Phil's gone from rags to trips to a full house to quads.
He's improved on every street. Perner checks again.
Now all Phil Ivey is trying to do is calculate how much he can bet to get a call.
Can he get more from Perner? He bets 120,000.
Phil's calculations say 80% of the pot could make it look like a bluff. And maybe Perner's got a notion not to lay his deuces down.
Ivey may have led Perner into believing his deuces are good. That's the genius of Phil Ivey at work. And he does make the call. Yeah, quad sevens for Phil Ivey does the job.
Never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
So the two big stacks at this feature table going in opposite directions. Day 4 has started out very profitably for Ivey.
Nice hand, Phil.
Thank you.
Perner, on the other hand, has lost nearly half of his stack on day 4, most of that going to Ivey. Phil Ivey catching cards is like LeBron James playing with a 9-foot hoop. It just doesn't seem fair. Time now for Deal Me In, brought to you by FullTiltPoker.net. To make a mediocre hand a winning hand, you have to protect it and play aggressive. In the 04 main event, Chris Ferguson did just that in a hand against William Erickson.
I had 10-7 in the big blind. My opponent made a very small raise, thought his raise was kind of weak, so I actually call him with the 10-7. Now the flop comes Jack 8-7, and it's actually a very interesting flop for my hand. I have bottom pair, and I have an inside straight draw. Even if I'm beaten at this point, I have a lot of outs. Since my opponent raised, I'm just going to check it to him. He bets, and now at this point, I don't have a huge stack in front of me, so I have to make a tough decision with the 10-7.
And his decision is to go all in.
I like moving all in myself, because I don't want my opponent to put me to that tough decision. Fortunately, my opponent doesn't have anything, and he folds.
He kicks it in.
My 10-7 is really a semi-bluff. There's a good chance my hand is good. But even if my hand isn't good, I have a lot of outs against my opponent's likely holding.
Nice hand, Chris.
Just having an approximate idea of what the odds are is really all you need to play really strong poker.
Chris loved playing the board game Risk as a kid. He now takes most of his risks at the poker table, and they're usually good ones.
But most of Chris's risks have not reaped rewards in this World Series. Just one cash leading up to the main event. But with almost 400,000 chips here, Chris looks pretty good to make the money.
Can't believe they didn't jinx me on that deal.
And thanks to Dan Bilzerian, we are one closer to the money. He just knocked out a player and looks to get back on top of the leaderboard.
Dan won half of the Bilzerian brother venture capitalist tandem here at the main event.
There is Adam Bilzerian looking to get us even closer to the money bubble. Adam has a player all in, and his face might be familiar. It's Lake Garner from the 2006 Amazing Race. He and his wife came in 6th place, and he's heads up to the flop.
Straight! Yes!
And Garner flops a straight.
Adam, a good online player that taught his brother how to play.
Bilzerian with a 1% chance, but no longer, as Garner will double up. Bilzerian drawing dead.
Kiss me.
I'll pass on that offer.
Adam's ace-king goes down in flames, but he still has a strong chip count.
Adam looks the way I feel most Thursdays.
Yeah, flop a straight.
So one reality star survives, while Lou Diamond Phillips, who won the I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here reality show, is currently in a big pot against Ken Harbaugh going to the river.
Harbaugh, a 54-year-old amateur from Atlanta.
River card, 10 of spades, 3 spades out there, up and down straight draw on the board.
35.
Harbaugh checked, Phillips bets 35,000. Harbaugh calls immediately, and Lou Diamond Phillips shows the nut flush to win the pot.
47-year-old actor-director has been playing in a home game for about 20 years now.
Even a blind hog can find an acre every once in a while.
As expected, Lou Diamond Phillips very comfortable in front of the cameras here at the main event, but he finds his toughest role to be that of a poker player.
I'm not really a poker player, but I have played one on TV. I think being, well known as an actor actually helps me because they don't expect me to be able to play.
Hey, no respect.
My celebrity has allowed me to meet some of the greats. Scotty Wen's a good buddy.
You bust other people, Lou Diamond. They don't bust you.
Greg Raymer, TJ, Kenny Tran.
I know some pretty cool people.
They give me some pointers, and I paid my tuition over the years. Back in the day, if Gus Hansen sat down at the table or Doyle Brunson, the heart just starts pumping.
I ain't gonna wrestle you just yet.
It's like running into a lion in the jungle, You suddenly feel like prey. And it took me a couple of years to get past that intimidation factor. I'm kind of living the dream for, a lot of talented amateurs.
Nice.
I keep saying, send me the mojo, Cry havoc and let loose the dogs of war.
Thank you. Been here all week.
The highest celebrity finish at the main event, Gabe Kaplan, 6th in 1980. Telly Savalas was 21st in 1992.
At table 2, Joe Hashem has his game face on with a pair of 9s and an up-and-down straight draw. Jason Adler leads with a flop set of 8s. Action on Adler.
I'm all in.
And Adler will shove here on the turn.
This would cost Joe Hashem about a quarter of his stack to call. We're getting close to the bubble. He's got to wonder if Adler really would push with just a marginal hand.
Call time, please.
Joe wants the clock called on himself.
I've got to make a decision. I can take forever.
Take as long as you want, Joe. Don't call a clock on yourself.
Adler seems very comfortable. We saw Daniel Negreanu call a clock on himself accidentally earlier in the main event.
Start counting down. If I thought you had one pair, I'd call you in a heartbeat, but I think you've got more than one pair.
10-second countdown. 9.
Joe's got a good read on him.
7.
Pass.
Hashem makes the right decision.
I have no idea what you had then.
I think I made a bad fold.
You made a good fold.
Both players trying to extract info from the other, and that info apparently is not forthcoming. Let's get back to the featured table and Phil Ivey, who always seems to know what he's up against, Norman.
He's my man.
Action begins on Ivey. Ivey with pocket kings.
Phil Ivey with pocket kings. I think that's illegal in 45 states.
A raise to 11,000.
I don't want to play with Ivey. I don't think this guy wants to play with Ivey. I don't want to play with Ivey. I don't want to play with Ivey.
Nobody wants to play with Ivey. Action on Kevin Stammen, 23 years old from Coldwater, Ohio, on the button with pocket 6s.
We have found our victim.
He does make the call.
Before he became a poker pro, Stammen used to pour concrete for basements.
Heads up against Phil Ivey now. Queen 7, kings up for Phil. He's still a huge favorite.
Stammen won a bracelet this year in No Limit Hold'em. In that event, Ivey finished 18th.
Ivey checks here. Stammen makes it 16,000 to stick around.
World Series fun fact for you, Lon. Phil Ivey has never lost a hand in which he's called a 16,000 chip bet on the flop with pocket kings against a bracelet-winning former concrete worker.
Yeah, who didn't know that? Turn card now. 8 of hearts. Ivey still good with kings up. He checks.
Yeah, Ivey checks while he's checking out Stammen.
Stammen checks back this time. River card now. Is another 7. Ivey earns the check mark. He checked the turn, and now Ivey reaching for chips. 25,000.
Ivey thinks his kings up are good. Stammen now has to play the board. This is a fold or raise for him.
75.
And he chooses raise, trying to bluff Phil Ivey.
Yeah, he's going to try to convince Phil he's got the best hand. But the way he said 75, it sounded more like Screech from Saved by the Bell than, say, Amarillo Slim.
This is the only way Stammen can hope to take this pot.
Well, Stammen trying to push Ivey off the best hand. Remember, Stammen bet the flop, so Ivey's got to think it's possible Stammen's either got a queen or he has a 7 in his hand and got really lucky on the river.
Ivey looks wary, but he does make the call. Stammen says, well, I'm just playing the board, Phil. Ivey shows him his kings and will win that pot.
My man, Phil Ivey. How hasn't he won the main event?
He takes over 100,000 from Stammen.
Almost. Yeah, you.
Against Phil Ivey, almost is never good enough.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back to the Rio, and Phil Ivey's at it again. On the button, he raised. Andy Bellin shoved. Ivey called and hit his 6 on the flop, now with 1 card to come.
You knew I should have never dropped out of grad school.
Grad school's for wimps, Andy. Bellin became a writer and authored the book Poker Nation, a real good read. But right now, all he's thinking about is an ace.
The river card is a jack. Ivey wins the pot. Bellin knocked out.
I'll tell Chris you knocked me out.
A lot of people are going to be telling Chris Phil Ivey knocked him out.
Ivey over 700,000. He's not sweating the money bubble. Phil is focused on becoming the main event champ, like 6 others still in this field have done. Let's take a look at the FullTiltPoker.net tournament ticker and see the remaining champions and the number of main event cashes they've had in their careers. Barry Johnston leads everyone, cashing in 10 main events, though he did not add to that total this year. 95 champ Dan Harrington looking to add to his total. He just knocked out a player.
This one better.
What's with the neck brace? Did he have a bad flop?
Elsewhere, Dennis Phillips looking to match Dan's main event feat of back-to-back final tables and a hand against LA pro Odie Darden. After the river, Phillips bets $21,000.
Are you getting ready to show me a bluff?
Never show my cards unless somebody calls. Ever.
Ever? That's a long time.
Darden finally folds, and the chip leader at the start of last year's final table takes the pot.
Look, you're trying to stall till the bubble bursts.
Speaking of chip leaders, the curse of the day one chip leader looks to be alive and well because that man Troy Weber is anything but. He shoved with a pair of 10s, Mads Anderson called with a set of 5s, and Weber's gone.
According to legend, the day one chip leader has never won the main event. The curse lives on.
Despite the curse, few players would turn down being the day one chip leader if offered, but nobody wants to be the bubble boy, one out of the money, and that is the subject of this edition of The Nuts.
It sucks to be the bubble boy.
Segan eliminated. The money bubble is broken.
It always stinks. It's the worst.
Steve Chong just made 666 new friends.
We're in the money, baby.
Everyone's happy after you get knocked out.
There's pandemonium breaking out. Everyone got paid except you.
You've tried so hard and you come up with nothing. It is truly a bubble because it just burst right in your face.
I hate the bubble!
Just about every top player has bubbled.
Been there, done that, have the t-shirt.
I think last year I bubbled 3 events. Maybe I was a bad person in a past life. Maybe I'm a bad person in this life and I just don't know about it.
I'd like to say it was fun, but I'd be lying. All right, guys. If you want to knock me out first, I'm going golfing. But don't just make me put all those hours in for nothing.
I disagree. I don't think bubbling's a bad thing at all. If you're a bubble boy, that means you've got guts. It's the guys who squeak in the money like the little rats, you know? Like, those are the ones that should be embarrassed. The guy who goes out with a blaze of glory and says, I'm the bubble boy, you know, he should be applauded. This is a guy that's gonna make it someday.
So Norman, by your account, you are one of those rats Daniel was talking about?
I am a rodent, and I cashed.
Denise Malloy will not be the bubble person. Her luck has run out.
Oh, man.
Well, I'm available for a hug if her husband's still not around.
So we are just 22 away from the money and head back to the feature table where Phil Ivey has been on a tear, not just at this feature table, throughout the main event. Action begins on Bingjiang Wu, who goes by Ben Wu, looks down at King Jack offsuit.
Poker pro from Southern California.
And he's going to raise it up to $10,500. Richard Kane from Plant City, Florida. Veterinarian, ace 10 of diamonds.
No veterinarian has ever won the main event, Lon.
He says he makes house calls, also in Florida, and he makes the house call there for 10-5.
Well, with the bubble approaching, he's cautious with that suited ace in a short stack.
That's Eugene Fuchsman, a CEO from an investment firm in Florida, and he misses our pocket cam, but he's going to make the call from the small blind. Phil Ivey now.
In the big blind.
He has an ace and a queen.
You know, I hate ace-queen, but if Ivey likes it, maybe I'll come around.
Ivey has chips in his hand, his every move scrutinized by all.
As we approach the bubble, everyone wants Ivey out of the hand.
And he seems to know exactly what they're thinking, so he turns up the burner, a big re-raise to 48,000.
Ivey playing big stack, bubble bursting bully. Figures that bet might clear out all the riffraff.
Well, Ben Wu with a re-raise to 125,500.
Ben Wu be still my heart.
Kane folds. Fuchsman gets out of the way. Back to Ivey now.
Well, Ivey figured he would scare away all the scared money. What a re-raise from Wu with King Jack off. If I'm Phil, I've got to figure Wu's got to have a hand this close to the bubble to tangle with a bigger stack.
And Phil does lay it down, so with a little extra aggression pre-flop, Wu takes the pot.
As usual, ace-queen is no good, and Wu can finally exhale.
Ivey sees that Wu might have got away with something, but I doubt Phil will let that happen again. The tension is rising.
Obviously, you don't care about making the money.
I'm tired of your mouth.
All look to avoid being out of chips and out of the money.
I don't run scared. Never have, never will.
But even those who have gone deep before are not immune to falling short.
Next year.
As the eliminations continue,
Oh, that sucks.
the moment nears.
Speed!
We're now just 5 away from the money.
I want to be the bubble boy. I want to be it.
Only 5 players to go, and we begin hand-for-hand play in order to prevent stalling. Every table in the Rio Poker Room plays a hand and stops until all tables are done. Big hand going on right now. Eugene Tito all in. His queen 10 trailing the ace-king of Steve Sanders.
Queen.
Flop is queen deuce trey. Tito with a pair of queens to lead.
Tito now a 3-1 favorite to stay alive.
7 on the turn. Tito still best.
Come on, pair the board.
Tito has to avoid a river ace or king.
River is an ace and in a flash. Tito's hopes are crushed. He falls short of the money.
Down and out. Steve Sanders, no worse for the wear. Eugene Tito's got to report to the rail.
This is prime time for some to be extra aggressive and pad their stacks. Elke Grospellier does that. He's up to almost 1.7 million. But for others, like the Poker Brad, it's nap time.
To fall asleep, I wonder if he counts idiots from Northern Europe jumping over a fence.
Back to the featured table. Phil Ivey using some downtime to grab a snack from his fan club, Mel and Pat Humphreys.
Watching a top predator eating in the wild so rare to capture on camera. The Ivy species usually consumes its prey under the cloak of darkness outside of Bobby's room near the big game. Fascinating.
I believe that's in Macintosh Apple, Norman. All right, let's get back over to table 2. They're dealing, and action is on. 05 champ Joe Hashem. Joe looks down at King 8 offsuit. And he will raise the action to 15,000.
Close to the bubble, Hashem raises with rags, hoping to pick up the blinds and antes.
Pro Burt Boutin gets out of the former champ's way. Action over to the defending champ, Peter Eastgate, with pocket queens.
He's not going anywhere.
Eastgate calls.
Clash of the Titans 2, back in the habit.
All right, here's the flop. 8, ace, 5. Eastgate still leads. Hashem paired his 8. Eastgate checks.
You know, a pre-flop raise from Eastgate would have ended the hand, I think, but he was cautious.
The ace slows them both down. Turn card is a tray. Eastgate is still best. And he checks again. Hashem wants to see where he's at with those 8s. Bets 18,000.
Well, at this point, Hashem figured Eastgate had no interest in the pot, but as you can see, he does.
9 on the river. Eastgate with the check mark. He checks.
1 pair.
1 pair.
Eastgate's pair is better.
Even.
But once they got involved, each wanted to avoid a big pot.
Yep, 73,000 in that pot. Eastgate takes it.
Playing snuck. I'm playing snuck. Playing tight.
Gonna make sure you cash?
Something tells me Peter Eastgate's not just concerned with finishing in the money. At another table, amateur Corey Katz played 9-6 offsuit and hit trips.
Did anybody have a 7?
That's his opponent, Giovanni Nervo, who pushed all in with 2 pair after the flop.
Nervo would pay good money for a 7 right now.
Turn card now is a king. No help to Nervo.
Nervo needs a 7 or he finishes painfully short of the money.
It is a 5 on the river. Katz wins it. Giovanni Nervo will make his exit. 650 remain, just 2 from the money. To another table, Mike Carlson has to make a decision for all of his chips.
Weird dilemma. I don't really care if I bubble, but I'm really gonna hate myself.
Kevin Schaffel bet enough to put Carlson all in. Carlson makes the call.
All in and a call.
Schaffel shows the nut flush. Carlson mucks and walks away.
I called it off with 1 pair.
Carlson's got to hate himself.
Kevin Schaffel delivers the knockout punch to Mike Carlson, and he goes over the million chip mark, and the bubble is at hand. 649 remain. We're just 1 away from the money.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Welcome back to the Rio. Yep, it's that time. 1 away from the money. Tension is high. No one wants to be the one, the bubble boy. Maybe, though, it will be this guy, Kia Hamadani, the short stack in the room. He's a small blind with only 3,000 behind.
I feel a kinship with this man. This was my position when I cashed. Last in chips, long on hope. Hang tough, buddy.
Hamadani folds. Can he hang on? At another table, Joey Michael on the right has moved all in pre-flop against 2 opponents. Jerry Osinski has both players covered by the slimmest of margins, but next to act is the shorter of the 3 stacks, Josh Chait.
Come here, camera.
Chait wants to show us his cards.
I'm surprised our cameraman wasn't on hot dog and cookie break.
Pocket kings.
If he folds pocket kings here, I am no longer the biggest rat in this room who crawled across the bubble.
Chait would need to move all in to make the call.
I will not be the bubble boy.
What? He lays him down.
Wow.
All right, now over to Osinski.
Not yet. I will let you know.
And he folds pocket tens.
Boy, pocket tens.
Classic bubble play from Joey Michael.
Kings, show me aces. Oh my God, I had him so crushed.
Michael shows a king.
Oh, what's the matter with me? Oh, I'm such a.
But you're not the bubble boy.
Michael takes the pot.
I will not be the bubble boy. You'll give me some sick beat that I don't want to deal with.
You dirty rat, my hero.
Josh wishes he didn't see his opponent's cards. Now it's your turn to play blind. Time for the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand as you at home try to figure out one player's whole cards.
One more. One more. Be nice, Phil. Be nice.
Jay Chansombath telling Phil, why don't you sit this one out? All right, here we go. Oh, and it's Phil Ivey with the wild card hand, Norman.
Ivy's easy to figure out. He's a one-man book of tells.
He raises to 14,000.
With the bubble looming, Ivy could be getting aggressive with any two cards. I'm going to put him on a big card and a small card suited.
Bernard Perner, ace-10 offsuit in the small blind.
Now, when I cashed Lon, I'd like to raise in this situation, see where I stand.
Yeah, we're happy about your cash, Norman. Perner makes the call for 11.5 more.
I don't like that. You know, sometimes you got to be a man, and sometimes you got to be a man against Phil Ivey. I would have been a man.
Heads up against Ivey again, 7, Queen, 10. Perner pairs his 10.
Well, when I cashed, I would lead out in this type of situation. Again, I'd want to see where I stand.
The whole universe is happy about your cash, Norman. Perner checks.
I didn't like that comment, and I didn't like that check, Lon. Ivy now could bet with anything.
Ivy does bet 20,000.
I think Ivy's on a club or straight draw.
Perner with second pair makes the call.
He's playing cautiously near the bubble.
All right, turn card now is another queen.
When I cashed Lon, I saw this exact board, 7, Queen, 10, Queen.
You were playing stud 8, there's no board.
What, you're going to nitpick me now?
Perner checks.
He checked again? I've lost hope for Perner. He's never going to be a man.
Ivy, the big bet, 60,000.
Ivy's fired on every street. He could just be playing the bubble. I think he's on a draw. He's been pounding Perner like a piñata today and hopes he'll finally cry uncle.
Well, Perner has not learned his lesson yet. He does call. River card now is a 4, a third diamond on board.
No, if Phil was on a club draw after the flop, that didn't get there, and a straight never got there.
Perner checks.
And if Phil bets, Perner will have a tough decision with his 10s.
If Phil bets, what do you mean? Have you been watching all day? He's going to bet it. 160,000 this time from Phil.
Phil bets 80% of the pot on the river again against Perner. But last time he did this against Perner, he had the nuts and made it look like a bluff. This time, I think it is a bluff. That's the beauty of Phil's game. He's got squad douche. I think Perner should make a gutsy call here.
Perner considering his options and does mock.
Mistake.
So it doesn't matter what Phil Ivey has, but we're going to see anyway. Oh, he had trip queens.
Okay, so I'm wrong again. Sue me. You know, when I cashed, I'm glad Phil Ivey...
Yeah, you cashed. So Ivey on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wildcard hand takes it with 3 queens.
You're happy with me. Your Oldhams get a lot of chips from me.
For now.
Phil gives a speech.
Ivey with nearly 800,000 has more than doubled his stack today. Over at table 2, the main event champion festival continues. Hashem and Eastgate posing for pictures, signing autographs.
You know, I think he misspelled his name.
Well, the champs are frolicking. Richard Harrington is fretting. He may be our bubble boy all in. His aces need help after Adam Sanders flopped 2 pair.
And you see why Josh Chait didn't want to call all in with kings. Stuff happens.
Turn card is no help to Harrington.
And we are now just 1 card away from this whole room cashing. Harrington needs an ace, 8, or deuce, or he is our bubble boy.
And the river card is another deuce. Ace is up for Harrington, and he doubles up and stays alive.
The search for bubble boy continues.
Harrington stays alive with a better 2 pair, and that is worthy of a celebration. So he's not the bubble boy, but someone will be. Still 1 to go before the money.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Get official items for your home poker game at WSOP.com. And PokerStars.net, the world's largest poker site.
Back to the Rio. Hand-for-hand play continues. Still 1 away from the money. Let's get over to a duel between J.C. Tran and actor Lou Diamond Phillips with a straight draw on the board. Phillips just bet 30,000.
Phillips has the 2-time bracelet winner covered.
Tran has been having trouble getting momentum in this main event. Below average with his chip stack. Raises to 80,000. Phillips makes a quick call.
Blue Diamond, without hesitation, says let's see a river.
River card is a queen of diamonds. Blue Diamond Phillips, first to act, bets 130,000.
Yeah, he leads out without hesitation.
Show me.
We'll see.
Usually the pros push around the amateurs. It's the other way around here.
Tran folds and Phillips turn to straight. He'll pad his stack with almost 100,000 more.
I was thinking you'd push.
JC thinking something else right now.
You don't want to be that guy, JC. You don't want to be that guy.
No one wants to be that guy, but right now, that guy might be former main event champ Bobby Baldwin. He's all in and behind after the flop. Baldwin with a nut flush draw. Eldon Elias leads with pocket queens. Turn card, 5 of hearts. Baldwin with a straight draw.
I didn't come to the main event to see Bobby Baldwin be the bubble boy, but if Baldwin doesn't get an ace, 8, or a spade, he is our bubble boy.
River card is a spade, and Baldwin does manage to stay alive, hitting the flush.
I was going to be the bubble baby, but...
So the river saves another. We're still 1 away from the money. Remember Kia Hamadani? He had only 3,000 left. Well, he's still alive, but down to just 1,000.
Come on, Kia, you can do it. Crawl, baby, crawl, crawl, crawl.
With a 500 chip ante per hand, Kia has only 2 hands left. Back to the featured table. Ivey has a lot of hands left. On the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam, Phil Ivey looks down at pocket 9s.
Who's going to want to play with Phil Ivey in this spot?
A raise to 14,000.
Cowards.
Turner gets out of the way this time.
Cowards all.
Wu folds. Kane lays it down.
Cowards.
Mick Graydon, an Irish poker pro. Ace, king of spades.
Oh, goodness, he's got to play. Graydon has 170,000 chips. If he's scared of Ivey in the bigger stack, he should just call here and see a flop.
What? He mucked.
He folded? Wow, that's like a brain bubble.
So Ivey takes another pot with that pre-flop raise.
At ace king. Ace king spades. Swear to God.
Just now? I had 2 9s.
That fold is stunning. Telling everyone about it is stunning. Ivey telling the truth is stunning. The bubble is making everyone lose their mind. Someone end this madness.
One person hoping it ends here is your boy Kia Hamadani.
Ridiculous. This has got to be the longest, last player. Yeah. It's been like 5 hands.
Don't play, Kia. Fold it. Some bozo is bound to shove pre-flop with 100 big blinds and king jack suited.
He does lay it down.
This is the main event after all, and you are still in the hunt.
He's got 1 hand left.
You got it, man.
That's Brian Hood with pocket kings.
If this was any spot with the bubble, my money would have been in there faster than you guys would ever know.
Hood raised, Schwartzman called, a third player re-raised, Hood 4-bet it, and Schwartzman came back over the top all in.
I wish I was Phil Ivey and I could call this comfortably.
Don't we all wish we were Phil Ivey? Now call and make me and Kia the happiest couple in the Rio.
We've seen ace, king, and kings folded, and now kings in the muck again.
Shows the aces.
Hood looks sick, but he's alive and well. I can't believe we saw pocket kings folded again.
Lucky timing for Hood. Any other time his chips might have been in the middle and gone. Elsewhere, David Russell with head in hand has pocket aces. He's all in against the ace-jack of Eugene Kachaloff. The flop jack 8-5. Russell sweating. Kachaloff still alive.
Of course. You got out. Of course.
The room smells bad beat blood.
There's my guy Kia with his 1 chip.
All right, turn card now. Is a 7. Russell's aces are still best.
Kachaloff will need a jack and a jack only to make David Russell the bubble boy.
River card now is another 7, and Russell doubles up with aces up.
Kia Hamadani will have to get real lucky now. He'll be all in with his next ante. And Lon, I am tired of saying bubble boy.
Well, Russell is not the bubble boy. And in that small pile, Kia Hamadani's last chip. He'll be all in. He hasn't even looked at his cards yet.
All in, baby. Let's go.
I think Kia's got pocket kings.
Oh, a bonus Jack Link's wild card hand for you. Over to Reed Hensel. He's going to raise it to 17,000.
17,000.
That's bad news for Kia.
Marty Zabib makes the call from the small blind.
More bad news.
Mike Nye calls.
I gotta be 4 players now.
He's got to beat 3, but it's still bad news.
All right, 4 players see a flop of queen, 6, queen. Nye and Zabib check. Hensel, the pre-flop raiser, bets 20,000.
That bet is really bad news for Kia.
Zabib gets out of the way. Nye folds, so here we go. Hensel turns over 9 deuce.
Woo! I like my hand.
What type of bet was that?
So Hamadani now shows.
No!
4 Trey!
Yeah, Hensel did Hamadani a big favor there, bluffing the other players out. But Kia, with the worst luck imaginable, he can't beat 9 deuce.
He's got a heart too.
It's not possible.
Turn card now, pairs Hensel, and that's gonna do it. Hamadani drawing dead. He is the bubble boy, and we are in the money.
Ladies and gentlemen, 648 players remaining.
With Jack Effel's announcement, a celebration breaks out in the Rio Poker Room. Every player guaranteed over $21,000.
We did it. We're in the money, honey.
You live in Vegas?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for now.
You're from Jersey originally, right? Where in Jersey are you from?
I lived in Roselle,
Where?
Atlantic City. I lived in Roselle, New Jersey.
Phil says, listen, buddy, if you want to chit-chat, go to a Tupperware party. We're here to play poker.
And on the Jack Link's beef jerky pocket cam, Phil Ivey looks down at 6-4 of diamonds.
Phil cut his teeth playing stud in Atlantic City, underage at casinos. He was known as Jerome on his fake ID.
Ivey raises it to 14,000. The blinds are 2,500 and 5,000, and a 500 chip ante from each player.
By the way, congratulations to these folks. It is tough to cash. You have to survive 90% of the field to earn a paycheck.
Action on David Wickham, who survived playing with Ivey earlier in this tournament. He calls with 7-6 off.
Check dark.
Boy, checking in the dark against Phil Ivey is like walking to a lion's den with a bucket of buffalo wings.
Ace, 9, king, neither pairs up. Ivey is a favorite with his flush draw, and he bets 20,000.
Ivey picks up a draw and figures, let's just pick up the pot.
That is not a good flop for checking dark when you have 7-6, and Wickham does fold.
Boy, that was like a layup drill for Phil Ivey. He didn't even break a sweat. Well, he doesn't sweat.
Phil Ivey takes that small pot as David Wickham learns firsthand that nothing comes easy against the best player in the world. Norman, the race for the money is in our rearview mirror, and now everyone is focused on the road to the final table and the ultimate goal. Phil Ivey has gone deep on several occasions at the main event, but when it comes to his own lofty standards, nothing short of victory will do.
This is the 7th year I have picked Phil Ivey to win the main event. He never does. You know, Phil, it's not like I'm asking you to fly to the moon in a rickshaw. All I've asked is that you take down the big one. And now I'm imploring you, pleading with you, begging of you to do it. So win the thing, Phil, and stop making me look like a fool. I do a good enough job of that myself.
Phil came close for you in 2003 and 05, but no victory yet. Let's take a look at the chip count brought to you by PokerStars.net. Phil Ivey remains strong, a little more than twice the chip average with 730,000 chips. Several players comfortably over the 1 million chip mark, including the current chip leader, Bertrand Elke Grospellier. And that is what 1.7 million in tournament chips looks like.
Elke is a former big-time cyber gamer. He's won a WPT title, a European Poker Tour title, and this is the 2nd straight year he's cashed in the main event.
And Elke seems to be playing the table bully right here. Everyone folds to his strength. And Grospellier will take in a few more chips.
Still don't think he's a natural blonde.
But he is one of the hottest players in the game right now. Last year's third-place finisher, Dennis Phillips, is also making another nice run. He's sitting at the table with Phil Hellmuth, celebrating his 20th anniversary of his main event victory.
The Poker Brat has reversed fields this year, playing looser and more aggressive.
I'll take this one. You take the next one.
Phil has put the heat on Kenny Shung.
Smells like
Phil's been standing in it up to his neck this year.
Kenny lays down an ace.
You're not going to show me? I'll tell you what. I'll give you 2 guesses. If you guess it right, I'll tell you the truth.
My guess is Shung doesn't like Phil much.
What do you think, Dennis? Take a guess, Dennis. You might guess it.
There's a perfect demonstration of a lesson my mother taught me long ago. If you ignore the bully, he'll leave you alone.
Another of the 6 former main event champs still alive is Chris Ferguson, debating an all-in call. Darius Paskadish raised all in on the turn with aces up. Ferguson flopped kings up.
A crucial moment for Ferguson, who was left muttering to himself. This would be for almost all his chips, and he'd need a 2-outer to win. Jesus had bet 80,000 on the turn before Paskadish pushed.
And Ferguson will make the call. So Chris Ferguson sees what he's up against, and he does not like it.
Jesus in distress. Ferguson looking for a jack and a jack only to knock out Pashkadish.
River card now is a 5 of clubs.
Yes!
And Pashkadish does double up through Chris Ferguson, who is crippled.
Hey, ski.
Ferguson left with just 4,000 chips.
1, 2, 3. Yep, that's 4,000.
Meanwhile, 2 more former world champs are still seated together at table 2, defending champ Peter Eastgate along with Joe Hashem, the 05 champ.
Hashem cashed in the main event the year after he won it, and now Eastgate has done the same.
Peter Eastgate looks down at King Jack offsuit.
He's under the gun.
Peter comes out with a raise of 13,000. Over to Leo Labio, retired school teacher, lives here in Las Vegas. Pocket jacks.
Lobby actually lives just a mile away from the Rio.
And he moves all in.
This is the 5th World Series event Labby's cashed in this year. He's a retired principal. Pros don't do that well.
Hashem folds King 7. Labby moved all in for his last 38,500. No takers so far. Back to Eastgate.
13.
Well, this is small enough for Eastgate to call here really with just about any 2 cards.
5,500.
And Peter will make the call and put Labby at risk.
25,500.
Labby shows the jacks. Peter has 1 overcard.
He's good at these though.
I'm good at these.
He's good at these.
He's a world champ.
In bad shape.
Here's the flop and 3 queens. A full house for Labby.
Well, it'd be really ugly if a 4th queen hits. Eastgate would win the hand with his king kicker.
And ace on the turn.
An ace, queen, or jack splits the pot. Only a king knocks Labby out.
The river card, a 4 of diamonds, and Labby will take the pot.
Closed.
Courtesy of the defending world champion, Peter Eastgate.
Peter, been a pleasure.
Congrats.
Labby used his home court advantage to its fullest, doubling up through Eastgate.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Sign up for the official WSOP e-newsletter at WSOP.com and FullTiltPoker.net. Learn, chat, and play with the pros. The World Series of Poker presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back at the Rio where Chris Ferguson was forced all in with his ante and Sander Liloff raised to isolate Ferguson. Now the 2 are heads up.
The 2000 main event champ is almost out.
Sander Liloff will be the one to try and take that last chip. He shows a6. Ferguson has a deuce.
It has to be 2-7. As long as it's not a 6. It's not too
9 deuce, 2 live cards.
2 live cards are not too bad.
Liloff is a 27-year-old gambler from London. Ferguson trying to stay alive and 9 tuple up. There's the flop and trip 6s for Liloff.
Jesus now needs running cards to win or split the pot.
The turn card is an 8 of diamonds, and that is going to do it. Chris Ferguson drawing dead, eliminated from this main event.
So Chris Ferguson ends a disappointing 2009, one of the best ever World Series performers with just 2 small cashes this year.
So the champ from 2000 is out, but the 95 champ, Dan Harrington, very much in this thing. Dan collects some more chips and is enjoying his first main event cash since 2004.
How long is he going to keep up this insurance scam? It's as phony as a $3 bill.
Will you cut Action Dan some slack? Let's get back over to Phil Hellmuth. He is in a hand with Ibrahim Morshaki. 2 8s, 2 trays on the board, 3 spades. And Phil bets out 20,000 on the river. Morshaki wondering what to do with the poker brat.
Call me with ace high?
The way you've been playing, Phil, ace high might be good.
The most successful World Series performer putting Morshaki's feet to the fire. Morshaki lays it down, and Phil will win that small pot.
Second straight year, Phil has cashed in the main event. As usual, the poker brat may be raking in the chips, but he isn't making any new fans at his table.
Hellmuth under the chip average right now. There's the main event bracelet to be awarded on November 10th to this year's world champion. Back to our featured table, and a look at 2 familiar fans watching Phil Ivey. Mel and Pat Humphreys travel every year to watch Phil play in the main event. The couple from Atlantic City has known Ivey since he was just starting out back east.
I've been gambling since the beginning of time. Play card games with my father and my grandfather. We bet, pennies and dimes. I knew I liked it right away. I would always say, let's play, let's play, let's play. When I was 16 years old, I would go down to Atlantic City, just sneak into the poker room there, I will play in different house games all around New Jersey and learn that way. And I just enjoyed it so much. I said, yeah, I think I want to try to do this for a living. I work pretty hard at poker, and I always have. In the shower, I'm thinking about it. In the car, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it before I go to sleep. I think I have a good feel for what people are thinking. You gonna play? How they play their hands.
I got a lot of natural talent.
The best bets are when your opponent thinks they have an edge and you know for sure that you have the edge.
You tried to rob me.
Of course I am, a little bit.
That's when you can bet the most.
Come to daddy.
I'm not the perfect poker player. I still have a lot to learn. In this main event alone, I've learned about 4 or 5 things. I'm not going to discuss that, but I think I've gotten a lot better. I am pretty lucky to be in the situation I'm in, but I've put in a lot of work to get here.
One of the lessons he's learned, Phil says he used to make major mistakes caused by impatience that cost him too many chips. Now he takes his time.
Ivey looks down at pocket aces.
Giving Phil Ivey pocket aces is like giving the Incredible Hulk power bars.
He raises to 16,000. Action over to Bernard Perner. He gets out of the way. Now on Bingjiang Wu, who goes by Ben Wu. King, queen of spades.
You may recall the 22-year-old poker pro outplayed Ivey in a hand just before the money bubble burst.
He will call for 16,000.
This is Wu's first World Series cash ever. Ivey now with 36 career cashes.
Heads up, Wu and Ivey. The flop is 7 deuce queen. Wu hits a pair of queens, but he's still way behind.
The top pair no good here against the pocket aces.
Ivey will bet it, 23,000.
One of Phil's skills is very basic, reading the strength of his hand versus his opponents and extracting maximum value.
And Wu will make the call.
By the way, if Phil ever wears sunglasses, I'm done with poker.
Turn card is an 8. Ivey still best.
And that's still a safe board for Ivey's aces. No flush out there, no straight out there.
And he will bet it accordingly, 55,000.
You know, this may be one of those situations Ivey just talked about. Wu may think he has the edge in this hand. Ivey knows he has the edge in this hand.
Action now on Wu. We know he can be aggressive, but that is just a call. So Ivey way ahead going to the river. River card 4 of diamonds. Ivey with the check mark, holding those pocket aces.
No flush out there, and unless Wu had a 5-6, no straight out there.
How much you got there?
How much has he got, Lon?
He's got a little more than 120,000, I believe.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the margin of error on your math. He's probably got somewhere over 100,000.
I'm all in.
Ivey will bet enough to put Wu all in.
If Wu calls here, his main event is over. Does he really want to call off the rest of his chips with top pair against the best player in the world? He's got about 20 big blinds left.
Does he feel he's being bullied?
I call.
And those are the last words we will hear from Wu in this main event. He does call and will be knocked out.
Yeah, Phil Ivey kept wagering the right amount and just methodically took out Ben Wu one bet at a time.
Wu will take home over $23,000 and chalk up another one for the 7-time bracelet winner. He's catching cards and getting paid off. It has been a charmed main event for Phil Ivey. Welcome back to the Rio as day 4 of the main event continues. Phil Ivey has been having a most productive day at the feature table.
The main event is a grind, but Phil Ivey routinely puts in 24-hour sessions playing big cash games, so he is built for the long haul.
Ivey has just about doubled his chip stack on this day 4.
See this guy? He's tired already.
That's Eugene Fuchsman from Brooklyn, New York with ace-jack offsuit.
He runs a small investment firm, but after an hour or two of poker, he's exhausted.
This is his second main event cash. And a raise to 16,000.
See, my man Phil is fresh. He can go a week without food or sleep.
Ace-7 offsuit. And a re-raise from Ivey to 45,000. Bernard Perner, who played the role of Phil's personal ATM early on this day with pocket tens.
And Perner looks a little fatigued, too.
In the big blind, he makes the call for 39,000. Fuchsman, too tired to play.
Phil's behind, but he's ahead. He's fresher, and he's Phil Ivey.
All right, heads up, Perner and Ivey. It is 10-4 queen. Perner hits a set of tens.
Phil's way behind now.
Perner first to act. 30,000. That's a small bet.
I don't like seeing 1% next to Phil Ivey's name, but I told you, he reads hands really well. He's fresh. He's on top of his game. He'll muck this baby.
He does indeed. Ivey smelled something fishy and gives it up.
Thank you, Phil, for rewarding my confidence in you.
You can't win them all, buddy.
But he could have lost a lot more there.
Yeah.
Ivey's best main event finish is 10th place. In the 40 years of the big one, 3 women have finished in 10th place. Barbara Enright's the only female to make the final table. 8 women are left in this year's field, including
Kara Scott Chad.
She could do it. Kara just bet $55,000 with pocket queens into Steve Dunkelberg. He has pocket tens and moves all in.
It took you a hell of a long time, so you must be a hell of an actor if you've got tags.
Kara Scott needs over $100,000 to call.
I call.
And she does. Dunkelberg at risk.
Kara Scott Chad in great shape here to knock out Steve Dunkelberg.
Turn card to come. It is a king. No help to Dunkelberg.
Kara about to bring home some more bacon for us.
River card is a 6, and that will do it. Pocket queens knock off Steve Dunkelberg. He'll win over $25,000.
Kara is very personable. We're still working on the details to get her naturalized and moved into my home.
Details. Kara with almost 300,000 chips. At another table, Nicole Pepe just flopped quad queens to knock out Jeff Friedman.
That was my Hollywood Park pal, Jeff Friedman. Who can beat quad queens?
300,000 chip pot for Nicole.
She's an LA pro.
Wow.
Did you like the flag?
No sweat, huh? I'll take it. I call.
Marla Schwartz just called all in with a nut flush draw.
Spade me, ace me, queen me. All right, I'm ahead. Oh my God.
Nice read. Her opponent, Jimmy Tran, is way behind with a lesser flush draw.
One spade, one ace.
What is this, a floor show?
I said pretty please.
Turn card. Oh, well, her nickname is the Queen of Hearts, and that has Tran drawing dead.
Come on. I win? Are you? Then muck it. That's the only way I know. Deuce.
Schwartz gets another queen.
Jeez, I haven't seen this many queens in town since...
Norman, keep that one to yourself, please. Schwartz, the author of nonfiction books, lives in Southern California and just doubled up.
Oh, man, this game is stressful, but in a good way.
Hang in there, Marla. Let's head back over to table 2 and a pair of world champions, Joe Hashem and Peter Eastgate.
What's Peter's nickname? Ice something? Iceman? No, Ice.
His nickname?
Yeah, he's got a nickname.
He doesn't have one that I know of.
Yeah,
Pete?
Ice something.
I don't know, Pete?
Icegate.
Icegate? Icegate.
Well, my Danish friends call me Isa, but they can't pronounce.
What is it?
Isa.
Isa.
But foreigners can't pronounce that. So I tell foreigners that my nickname is Icegate.
Is that what it means?
No, it's not.
Icegate. Okay. Icegate's good.
I think Peter should be called I Shattered Hellmuth's youngest ever record gate.
Good idea. Well, Icegate does look down at a 7 and a 5 into the muck. All right, action next on Nick Brancato, formerly a teacher from Jersey City, New Jersey. Queen Jack offsuit.
Brancato's nickname is Nicky Numbers. He beat me to it.
He raises to 18,000. On his left, 05 world champ Joe Hashem in the big blind, Jack 5 of diamonds.
Does Hashem have a nickname?
I don't think so, but maybe we should call him One-Time Hashem. Hashem makes the call for 12,000 more. 10-9-5, Hashem pairs his 5, Brancato with an up and down straight draw. Brancato bets at it, 20,000.
Brancato is writing a book titled The Poker Playbook.
Hashem with bottom pair makes the call.
Hashem has read a book titled Can't Push Me Around.
A tray on the turn. Hashem still ahead. Brancato on the draw. That's 35,000 using one of the new green chips worth 25,000.
Brancato will fire another bullet on the semi-bluff.
Hashem may be thinking that board has missed his opponent. Calls.
05 world champ not going anywhere.
River card is another tray. Hashem gets the check mark with his 5s and trays. Brancato.
In for a dime, in for a dollar.
Not going to slow down. Bluffs at it with 60,000.
A third and final bluff at this pot.
Hashem reconstructing the hand and makes a great call.
You got it.
Yep, he does. And Hashem will take the pot with his 2 pair.
Chapter 6 of the Poker Playbook, How Not to Bluff Joe Hashem. Hashem with a nice read on that one from the flop on.
Yeah, Hashem took over 130,000 from Brancato, who could only win that pot by betting the river, but Hashem saw through the ruse and taught the former teacher a lesson.
Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main Event.
Welcome back to the Rio. Let's get right to the featured table for the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand, and a chance for you at home and Norman to try and figure out what the concealed hole cards are. Everyone at this table trying to figure out how to get chips from Phil Ivey. Few have been successful so far.
I'm told I'm batting 187 with my wild card hand guesses this year. Not bad.
Action on Phil Ivey. And Phil, once again, has the wild card hand.
Since I taught him everything he knows, this is really unfair.
Not a problem for you. A raise to 16,000 from Phil Ivey.
Well, Ivey in the cutoff. That's his standard raise today, just under 3 times the big blind. And I'm going to pull rank and wait till we see a flop before I assess his hand.
Bernard Perner with pocket fours.
Now, he's got to be tired of seeing Phil Ivey raising his blind. Tired or mortified?
From the small blind, Perner will call for 13,000 more. David Wickham is in the big blind. And he sees ace-10.
You know I hate the ace. There's no place for the ace. And this is not a strong ace. It's not a weak ace. It's a get you into trouble ace.
Wickham does call.
Psst, Phil, what do you got? Help me out one time.
Here's the flop. It is Jack 7 ace. Is that telling you anything?
It tells me there's Jack 7 ace on the board. What am I, Karnak?
Wickham with a pair of aces. Perner did not improve. Perner checks his pocket fours. Wickham checks top pair. Ivey now. Has he checked this whole tournament? A bet of 35,000.
Phil's either got a big hand, like a set or pocket queens, or Phil's got big squadouche. I'm leaning towards squadouche.
Perner folds.
Like I can figure out anything by looking at Phil.
Wickham will go heads up with Phil to the turn.
You know, the 10 is one of those kickers that can get your ace into trouble.
8 of spades on the turn. Wickham picks up a gut shot.
Wickham still might want to bet here to find out where he's at.
Nope, he checks.
That's just handing the keys of the bank to Phil, and he's gonna walk in.
Ivey does come with 70,000. He is relentless.
I still think Phil's got either a big hand or big squadouche, and I'm leaning towards squadouche.
Wickham has been watching Ivey at this feature table all day. He has chips in hand.
Well, if Phil's got a set, Wickham's dead, and if Phil's got a bigger ace, he's in awful shape.
Wickham check calls again.
Psst, Phil, what do you got? I'm dying here.
He's not going to tell you. All right, river card is a tray of diamonds.
Oh, that changes nothing anywhere in the world.
Wickham checks once more. Again, the door is open for Phil Ivey. This time, Ivey makes it 120,000.
Okay, I believe Phil has a big hand or big squadouche. I have leaned toward squadouche. I am now jumping on the big hand bandwagon. It's a set or it's aces up. And this is the problem with ace-10. You're never comfortable check calling at any point of the hand, and it causes severe gastrointestinal distress.
Wickham does fold. Ivey will take the pot. He had ace-king.
I told you, ace-king off, and that's exactly how I would have played it.
Phil had the best of it again on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand. You were close, Norman, but wrong again. Back into the field, 517 players remain. Elke Grospellier still the top chip stack in the room. There is J.C. Tran jousting again with Lou Diamond Phillips after a flop of Jack 9-7.
J.C. Tran is getting married later this year. He should talk to Lou Diamond, who's been married more than once.
Lou Diamond bets out 20,000 on the flop. And Tran will lay it down.
Man, Lou Diamond Phillips owns J.C. Tran. There, I said it.
Gone. Rats.
LDP working towards 600,000 chips. The Golden Globe and Tony-nominated actor is in the money here at the main event for the first time. And Norman, believe it or not, we have an Oscar nominee in the field.
Gentili was knocked out, no?
Yes, but this is the youngest Oscar nominee in history. What, you don't recognize Justin Henry? Well, you remember his most famous role.
I was in Kramer vs. Kramer, which was a movie with Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep. I was discovered in my elementary school in my hometown. And out of like 900 kids, I got the part. I didn't know anything about what I was doing at all, and Dustin and Meryl really kind of took me by the hand. During the filming, Dustin hauls me off to bed, kicking and screaming, and I'm thinking one of the takes I accidentally kicked him where you're not supposed to kick a man. And there's a good scream on tape somewhere. And the movie really resonated well with people. I was nominated for an Academy Award. Dustin won. I was really thankful that I didn't win because I didn't want to have to give a speech. I was so nervous. Just a crazy whirlwind experience. Kramer experience, you know, I was 6 years old and Really was taken by the hand through it.
This guy thinks I'm a pro poker player.
But for poker, I've really had to sort of learn it from the ground up, scratching and clawing the whole way through.
I just took 50,000 chips from you, and I'm happy about it.
The movies that I've done are wonderful, but this really would be something special.
Kramer vs. Kramer won the Academy Award for Best Picture in 1979. Justin Henry lost in the Best Supporting Actor category to Melvin Douglas in Being There.
Well, Henry's going to lay that hand down.
That was tough, man. That was tough.
So from a one-time child actor to someone who still acts like a child.
This could be my last hand.
Phil Hellmuth taking on Ibrahim Morshaki again after the river. We saw 2 jacks hit the flop.
Phil raised pre-flop and then bet the flop. Then they both checked the turn.
5 came on the river. Morshaki first to act. Makes it 120,000.
Morshaki bets 2/3 the pot. Phil sits down to consider all his legal and vocal options at the moment.
Phil doesn't have that much more than 120,000.
Well, this would be for more than half of his remaining chip stack. Big decision here for Phil Hellmuth.
75, 90, 100.
Phil Hellmuth does make the call. Morshaki says ace jack. He flopped trip jacks and fooled Phil Hellmuth.
Cue the music for the Valley of Unhappiness, Season 18, Episode 566.
You found Jack for the live one?
Morshaki takes most of Phil's chips.
But I want to vomit on the floor.
I do not believe there is a penalty for that.
There goes my World Series to an absolute maniac. You found Jack form, right? Ace Jack. They found Jack for the live one. These are the players that beat me. They can't even spell poker.
Time now for Straight from the Pros, brought to you by PokerStars.net. When you first peek at your cards, you always hope to see aces or kings, but having them and knowing what to do with them are 2 totally different things. In the 05 main event, Daniel Negreanu ran into just this scenario when his kings were up against Queen 10.
When you play in a tournament and you get a hand like aces or kings, you really want to get some action. You don't want to get too much, and when you do, you got to be careful of certain kind of boards. I had kings and raised and got some calls, but then the flop came queen jack 8, and that's a scary board for 2 kings. It was checked me, I went ahead and bet it to protect my kings and got 1 caller. Turn was an insignificant card, he checks, now I want to protect against the draws that are there, so I go ahead and bet 1,800. He calls it again.
And it's a queen, and trip queens now for Cathcart.
And I'm thinking, oh no. He sort of flinched a little bit when the card came, and it looked a little bit like he was excited about it, and he checked.
Why was I thinking no queen, no queen?
Based on something that I picked up earlier, the way that he played, I felt like he was just probably scared to bet his 3 queens, and I wasn't going to bet him for him.
Daniel checks it and sees that he has lost a hand to Dwayne Cathcart.
Sure enough, he rolled over 3 queens, and I played the hand well, I just was unlucky.
Daniel was the 04 Player of the Year. Jeff Lissandro has already clinched the 2009 version. Even if Phil Ivey wins the main event, the best he could do is runner-up.
This is why Ivey's always my Player of the Year. He plays tournaments and cash games equally well, and he plays every poker game, not just No Limit Hold'em, very well.
Ivey looks down at pocket kings.
When Ivey won his 7th bracelet this year, he was asked what the over-under was on getting his next bracelet. He said tomorrow.
Ivey raised it to 16,000. Action on Mick Graydon from Dublin, Ireland. Ace-9 of diamonds.
You may recall on the bubble, Graydon folded ace-king suited pre-flop after an Ivey raise.
From the big blind, he'll call and go heads up. It's 9-5 queen. Ivey's best with his kings. Graydon hit middle pair. Graydon checked. Ivey
22.
That's half the pot, 22,000.
Phil Ivey goes to work. Now, what a difference in demeanor between my 2 Phils, Ivey and Hellmuth.
Graydon calls.
He appears to be under duress.
Turn card. 7 of clubs. Ivey's kings are now an 8-1 favorite. Graydon checks again.
I just believe that Ivey knows beyond a shadow of a doubt that his kings are good right now.
I think you're right, Norman. That's enough to put Graydon all in.
And it is a tough spot for Graydon. He's down to 15, 16 big blinds if he folds here. And I can't believe he feels good about his 9s.
He will commit all his chips with middle pair, and Ivey shows him the kings.
Graydon sees the bad news.
106,000.
And now Graydon will need an ace or a 9 on the river or he is wamboozled.
River card is another 7. Let the wamboozling begin. Ivey wins the hand. Grayton knocked off. He'll win over $25,000.
I believe Phil Ivey has knocked out 2, maybe 3,000 people in this main event.
Maybe not quite that many, Norman, but he does seem to be rolling over this field. Let's get to the outer tables.
All in. Wow, that's so sick.
That is J.C. Tran. His opponent, Joe Baldwin, has a pair of 7s, but Tran is holding top 2 pair. Baldwin, though, just bet over $600,000. That would put J.C. all in.
Why would you go all in? Seriously.
To put you to this type of tough decision for all your chips, it's the type of crazy move pros have to deal with. Baldwin is pushed on the turn with a small pair and 100 big blinds left.
All right. How much you for me?
J.C. lays down top 2 pair. And Baldwin shows Tran his measly pair of 7s.
Didn't think I could push you off Queen Jack.
I really don't know where you're at. I feel like I can find a better spot.
My sympathies to JC.
Discretion, the better part of valor.
I need another minute. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Marla
tough
Schwartz with 2 kings, contemplating calling Jimmy Tran's all in. He's holding 2 aces.
You want me to fold? Say Marla, fold. Just say it.
Marla, fold. Quietly.
Okay. I call.
And you're behind.
Far behind.
Put a 9 or a king. Please, Jason, 9 or a king.
How about deuce 4, 7?
9 or a king. King me. King me. King me.
The river card
King or 9.
is not a king or 9, and Tran will double up to Marla Schwartz.
81.
And Marla Schwartz is crippled.
Left with just about 60,000 chips. Back to table 2, where defending champ Peter Eastgate is working, along with 05 champ Joe Hashem. Peter Eastgate looks down at king 4 and says no thanks.
Joe Hashem got his first job at age 7. I believe Peter Eastgate turned 7 last year.
Hashem, jack 9 offsuit. And Hashem on the button raises to 16,000. Surrender Sunar. His first main event cash was in 1992. He has ace queen.
He's got 30 World Series cashes, 11 final tables, but no bracelet.
With a small blind, he's going to re-raise to 49,000.
33.
He raises almost all in.
What have you got?
3,000.
3,000 behind.
Chip in, please.
Put it in. Put the other 3 in.
Hashem will raise them all in. Sunar calls. And Surrender Sunar with the advantage.
What do you got? Ice queen?
Yeah.
Sunar, a 2-to-1 favorite to stick around.
Flop is 10-8-6. Sunar still ahead, but Hashem with a straight draw.
Sunar not sitting easy with ace high.
Sunar trying to hang on. Turn card now. Hashem hits his straight. Sunar with a flush draw.
It's not heavy yet. It's not heavy yet.
Sunar needs a diamond or it is over.
River card is a club. Hashem wins the pot and knocks Surrender Sunar out of this main event. Joe hoping to rekindle some 05 magic in 2009.
The World Series of Poker. 40th Annual Memories.
I was 24 when I won the main event. I held that record for 19 years until Peter Eastgate came along.
22-year-old Peter Eastgate steps into poker history.
Peter Eastgate played amazing.
I call.
I knew it!
I give the kid a lot of credit.
Peter typifies the younger generation. He's the real deal, and he'll be a force to be reckoned with in the future.
From unknown to unreal again at the World Series.
There is Peter Eastgate's championship banner hanging from the rafters in the Rio as he continues his title defense at table 2.
Peter says the younger generation does play better than the older guys.
Eastgate in a hand right now. Battle of the blinds. He and Patrick Hanato will see a flop. Flop is deuce, deuce 6. That missed both. Hanato with his ace high leads.
I don't think that flop would have hit anybody in the entire casino.
Hanato checks. Peter Eastgate now. 9-8, tries to buy it with 17,000. Hanato not buying it, calls.
Hanato not giving in. I would have.
He's trying to get some chips from Peter Eastgate. Turn card now is a 7 of spades. Eastgate with an up and down straight draw. Hanato first to act. He'll check it.
Well, if Eastgate wants to bluff at this again, he has picked up that draw you mentioned, so it feels like a real hand.
And he does keep the pressure on. 37,000 to Hanato now.
And Peter's picked a good spot. Hanato's just sitting on ace high. I would have mucked already and been in the buffet line before my cards hit the felt.
Hanato does surrender the best hand, and Eastgate will take that pot.
Youngest main event champ ever, not an accident.
So this is just kind of us at a table getting beat up by former main event winners. Basically what's going on here.
Life is good.
Yeah.
You get to be on TV. We get to collect chips. Yeah? Is that right, Pete?
No deal.
I agree.
No deal.
We give them the TV, they give us the chips.
That's the cameras. I'd rather have the chips.
Well, getting chips is what it's all about now that the money bubble has come and gone. 448 players left in this main event. Let's get back to the outer tables. Marla Schwartz has just moved all in pre-flop for her last 61,000 with ace-jack of hearts. Action is to Nick Binger.
Nick, brother of Michael Binger, has 11 World Series cashes. Marla once was champion on Match Game.
Binger
Calling
calls
me?
with ace-10. Schwartz has the best of it.
Oh, let me get lucky here. I'm ahead. Please. Heart me. Heart me. Jack, jack, jack. All hearts, all hearts, all
The
hearts.
flop,
There's a heart.
7, queen, 4. Schwartz ahead with a better kicker.
This is crazy.
Relax, you got it.
Deuce.
Nick telling her to relax, that's good advice.
Up
6
here.
on the turn, Schwartz still good.
Pair the board, pair the board.
Nick can only knock her out with a 10.
Pair.
River card
Five or pair.
is an 8. Schwartz doubles
Ooh,
up.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
Needed that double up.
We need something here.
Schwartz still alive.
Never easy, never easy.
This main event is like one big stress test for her. Back to actor Justin Henry, who can knock off Oliver Klatt if he can catch a card.
Henry would need a 9, jack, or queen.
River card is a 5 of spades, and Klatt will double up through Henry.
Justin Henry does very little acting these days. He now works as a sales professional in digital media.
Klatt's still pretty short on chips at the moment, but he's hanging in there while Henry looks for some way to regroup. All right, let's get back to the featured table where it has been all Phil Ivey today.
Phil Ivey used to play Tonk as a kid. It's sort of like gin rummy, and I bet you he was unbeatable.
Action on Ivey. 110, pocket tens.
Phil knows with pocket 10s, an overcard will flop about 70% of the time.
Standard raise for Phil to 16,000. Over to David Wickham, who sees his big blind raised again by Phil.
Yeah, and the blinds keep calling Phil's raises.
With 4 Trey this time.
Check dark.
Check dark again against Phil? How did that work out last time?
The flop 9-6 Trey. No overcard to Phil's pocket tens. He still leads. Wickham hit bottom pair. Ivey bets 22,000.
These hands are like a broken record on an endless loop. Ivey with a big pair, a non-threatening board, he bets and he gets called.
That's the danger of playing rags. You hit part of the board, you get in trouble. Turn card is an 8. Wickham still behind. And Wickham checks again.
Yeah, Wickham checks, which means Ivey will bet, and then Wickham will make a bad call.
Wickham stuck in a dangerous rut. Phil bets 55,000.
Yeah, it's just 11 orange chips. Why not?
And he does commit them with his pair of trays. River card now. Wickham needing a lot of help, and that's not going to do it. The king. Ivey has the check mark.
Maybe it's Wickham's master plan to give all of his chips to Phil over the course of, say, 17 hands.
Check the river again. Ivey bets it, 120,000.
Wickham can only beat a bluff here. You know, sometimes I think Phil is bluffing and he's not. Maybe he'll pay him off.
All right, fold again.
Wickham surrenders once more.
Phil Ivey takes another pot without saying a word. And I'll say it for you, Mr. Ivey. If luck weren't involved, you would win them all.
Another pot for Phil, another frustrated opponent, and the Ivey Express keeps chugging along at the main event.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Get official items for your home poker game at WSOP.com. And PokerStars.net, the world's largest poker site.
Welcome back inside the Rio as day 4 of the main event nears its conclusion. Phil Ivey has now passed the 1 million chip mark.
He has been fresh, focused, and fierce.
Action on Jason Tremblay from Lloydminster, Canada on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam. Jack 10.
He owns an industrial x-ray company that inspects pipe wells and oil tanks. Coincidentally, that is my weekend hobby.
Tremblay moves all in with his Jack 10. Phil Ivey with pocket jacks. He makes the call for 63,000 more. And so Ivey in line to knock off another player.
Phil Ivey has gotten a lot of big pocket pairs today, and he's made the most of them every time.
The flop, Trey 6 deuce. Tremblay still in trouble.
Doesn't Ivey need a license to take out this many people?
Turn card is an 8, and that's going to do it. Tremblay drawing dead. Phil Ivey collects another elimination. And Tremblay will head back to Canada with over $25,000 US.
It's an absolute pleasure playing with you. It's a dream of mine.
I think Phil Ivey should hire someone to shake hands with the players he busts, because it's really time-consuming and tiring.
Well, Ivey gave Tremblay a good story to take north of the border. At the outer tables, the man who had been the pace setter, Elke Grospellier. He's taking in some chips there, and while he's still over $1 million, Elke has been knocked down a couple of notches. Phil Ivey, with almost $1.3 million, has now overtaken Grospellier. Elke not far behind, but there is a new sheriff in town. Matt Affleck is the player everyone is chasing. He owns about 1.8 million chips. Matt and all his chips on the left involved in a four-way pot after the turn. Also in the hand, Mike Sexton, Lou Diamond Phillips, Scott Eskenazi checked. Now the 22-year-old chip leader from Seattle bets 40,000. Action on Sexton, and he'll lay it down. Lou Diamond Phillips doesn't want to tangle with the big stack. Eskenazi gives it up.
I'll see you later.
Wow. Well, the new chip leader is a student at the University of Washington. He wears a striped shirt, and he has scared everybody away in this hand.
All right, elsewhere, let's check in on the status of Phil Hellmuth. He is waiting for a flop with 4 other players. Jose Gomez, a 46-year-old amateur from Spain. Kenny Shung, who was tangled with Phil a couple of times. Kevin Jenkins, a UK World Series rookie. And Ibrahim Mushaki, who raised pre-flop. Hellmuth and everyone else called.
Mushaki is Hellmuth's latest nemesis.
Jack 10-5. Jenkins first to act.
Shung, another Hellmuth nemesis at this table.
Jenkins moves all in for 83,000. Mushaki next to act. And he will not play.
How much is it?
Hellmuth now.
I'm all in.
He's going to push all in.
The poker brat pushes with about 20 big blinds left.
Now to Gomez. Gomez gets out of the way. Kenny Shung now.
Phil awaits his fate.
113 for me to call. Yeah.
2 all-ins in front of Shung.
I have one, jeez. Hi there. It's got a big hand. Yeah. You're a real smart guy. Come on, lay it down. Let's go.
He calls to put them both at risk.
10 more, darling.
God, he called a race with 10 jack-offs. I mean, this is how I go out.
Shung with top 2 pair, Phil with pocket aces, Jenkins with an up and down straight draw.
Hellmuth in danger of going out right here. His aces are in tough shape.
Give me a 5. Give me a club. That's a great card.
A 5 or an ace are Hellmuth's best cards to hit.
Shung can knock out 2 players here. Turn card is a 7, and Jenkins hits his straight.
It's a disaster for Phil Hellmuth, and he's got to ask himself why he didn't re-raise pre-flop with pocket aces.
The river is a tray. Jenkins can hardly believe he'll take the main pot. Shung the side pot. Hellmuth is gone.
In a heartbeat.
Well played. Called $25,000 with 8-9 and 10 jack. 10 jack offsuit called and 8-9 called. And they both beat me. It was unbelievable. These are some of the worst players in the entire world over here.
It's the Valley of Unhappiness, final main event edition, and I do feel Phil Hellmuth's pain.
Wow. It's just unbelievable.
Finally silenced and falling short of his great expectations, Phil Hellmuth makes his exit from the 09 main event. And so after day 4 of the main event, only 4 former champions remain in the hunt for their second title, including the defending champ, one of 2 members of last year's November 9 who will play on. We're down to only 7 women, all of whhom would love to beat the odds and make history.
Good luck, guys.
Day 4 was the end for many.
It's just kind of weird. There's just no way that I thought I'd be eliminated.
But it may be just the beginning for others, from famous faces to those becoming more and more familiar. Everyone has their eye on poker's biggest prize, including Phil Ivey, who's hoping that bracelet number 8 will be from the 2009 main event.
To win this tournament, especially down in, you got to be able to withstand a couple beats. Hopefully I have enough chips to withstand a couple beats, and I'll be able to win it this year.
For Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. See you next time from the World Series of Poker.